Imagine the aroma of perfectly spiced, melt-in-the-mouth kebabs just wafting through a bustling deli market, right? It's an experience that literally carries decades of cultural memory for so many people. Well, welcome to today's Explainer. We're deconstructing a modern Indian culinary legend today, Chacha. We're going to look really closely at exactly how a beloved local institution scaled up its operations, completely transformed its revenue, and modernized its inner workings, all without losing that authentic soul.
Okay, let's dive right into this. We've got a really structured breakdown for you today. Section 1 is a deli cult phenomenon. Then, 2, the counter-cyclical playbook. 3, we'll be dissecting the marketing mix. And finally, 4, earning the right to scale. Let's get to it.
Starting off with part 1, a deli cult phenomenon and the origins of a true heritage brand.
So to really understand this brand's unique positioning, you kind of have to grasp its incredible cultural cachet. Chacha positions itself as Delhi's favorite since 1972. This is the authentic, no-nonsense source for Mughlai kebabs and Rumali or Kathi-style rolls. For decades, it's been this go-to spot for an incredibly broad demographic. We're talking school kids pooling their tight budgets for an after-class snack, college students hanging out, young professionals grabbing office lunches, all the way up to politicians and celebrities making these late-night craving runs. Looking back over the last 5 decades, you can really trace how that legacy was built. In 1972, Haji Banda Hassan founded a modest stall in Khan Market, and for years it just built organic, highly localized word of mouth. Fast forward to 2009, the Navneet Cholera partnership begins, which shifted the brand's trajectory toward a larger footprint and eventually led to full brand ownership by the Cholera family. Then, crucially, in 2020, current managing director and CEO Siddhant Cholera takes charge. Now, he steps in during an incredibly difficult time, the COVID-19 pandemic, to drive a highly disciplined operations-focused turnaround. You know, this isn't some overnight success story funded by venture capital. This is deep generational cultural memory we're talking about.
And that legacy translates into some serious, tangible volume. 2,500. That is the number of rolls sold daily by Chacha today. 2,500. It just visually validates their cult status. When you're moving up to 2,500 chicken tikka, paneer tikka, and mutton sikh rolls every single day, it proves the sheer, enduring popularity of your core product. It's really the ultimate proof of concept that their flavor profile resonates deeply with the urban middle class.
All right, let's move to part 2, the counter-cyclical playbook and how they navigated the COVID turnaround.
So when the pandemic hit, the food and beverage industry was literally thrown into chaos. But current CEO Siddhant Cholera didn't panic. He didn't try to aggressively spend his way out of it. Instead, he executed a strategic survival-first pivot. And this brilliantly illustrates the stark contrast between your typical modern quick-service restaurant startup and a true heritage brand. On one side, you have what we'd call hyper-growth theatrics, trend chasing, scaling as rapidly as possible, regardless of quality, burning mountains of cash on heavy advertising. But on the other side, you have the Chacha way. They prioritize closing weak stores, digitizing their operations, keeping the product as the undisputed hero, and focusing strictly on controlled, profitable growth. It is a radically prudent approach in an industry that's currently just obsessed with hyper-growth experiments.
Now you might be wondering, did this disciplined approach actually work? Oh, absolutely. It really did. Look at this massive jump. 43 crore rupees in current revenue for their 2025 to 2026 outlook. That is a staggering leap from around 15 crore back in 2020. This counter-cyclical strategy was highly effective. It proves that sometimes, slowing down, prioritizing survival, and fixing your foundational systems is actually the fastest and most sustainable way to grow a business.
So let's look under the hood in part 3, dissecting the marketing mix, the 4 Ps of a 43 crore brand.
How do they actually operate day-to-day to generate those numbers? Let's break down the classic 4 Ps: product, price, place, and promotion. Starting with the single most vital element of all, the product. The management philosophy here is crystal clear. Quote, people come for the rolls, and that must stay central. Instead of constantly reinventing the menu with theatrical presentations just to chase the latest social media food trend, they fiercely protect their core items, the chicken tikka, the mutton sikh, the kakori kebabs. These are the undisputed heroes. Sure, there's some menu evolution with supporting Mughlai dishes, but they know exactly what they're famous for, and they guard that core product with their lives.
But maintaining that legendary consistency across more than 20 outlets takes some serious technological muscle. This isn't just a traditional kitchen anymore. It's a heavily data-driven operation. They're actually using AI-assisted sentiment tracking, digitized store processes, and even photo-verified checklists. I mean, it is highly unusual for a brand of this specific size to have this level of data orientation. They're constantly running in-house analysis on customer feedback from platforms like Zomato, Swiggy, and Google. They even use waste and demand prediction to ensure that a roll bought today tastes exactly the same as the one you remember from 5 years ago. It's fascinating.
Next up in our mix is price. They sit in this really perfect sweet spot of accessible, premium, casual pricing. And what you should really take away from this is that they completely avoid the trap of deep discounting to drive volume. Value here is delivered purely through portion, quality, and flavor consistency. It's priced dynamically, so it works perfectly for a quick, everyday office lunch, but it still feels satisfying and premium enough for an occasional family indulgence.
Now, what's really interesting about their sales mix is this massive structural shift in how people are actually consuming the product. Think about it. A brand that started in 1972 purely as a physical dine-in and takeaway stall now sees its business split neatly down the middle. 50% delivery, 50% dine-in and takeaway. Following the COVID reset, they recognized this shift and just aggressively leaned into it. They entirely redesigned their packaging to support this delivery surge, perfectly adapting a heritage dine-in experience for the modern living room without compromising the food's integrity at all.
Regarding place or their distribution strategy, their approach is highly protective. They currently have over 20 company-controlled outlets, primarily in Delhi NCR, with a measured expansion into neighboring Punjab like Mohali and Chandigarh. Now notice the phrase company-controlled. They have actively rejected large, lucrative master franchise offers. Why? Well, because protecting brand quality is absolutely paramount to them. They expand deliberately and only to geographically adjacent areas to ensure their operational systems can actually keep up with the growth.
Finally, let's talk promotion. You are not going to see Chacha blanketing the airwaves with expensive mass advertising campaigns. Their marketing is wonderfully unconventional. It leans heavily on deep cultural recall and 5 decades of word-of-mouth equity. They maintain a dominating presence on delivery aggregators and Google Business. Their philosophy is basically that marketing matters for sure, but a consistently excellent product is non-negotiable in a review-literate market. So they use digital listening and data-led fixes to ensure operational excellence, and that in turn drives positive reviews, repeat visits, and organic social buzz. The food literally speaks for itself.
Which brings us to part 4, earning the right to scale, the path forward. Chacha is looking to evolve from a Delhi cult favorite into a truly pan-India and eventually international quick-service restaurant player. So, what does the strategic battlefield ahead of them actually look like? Well, on the strength side, they're armed with rare, hard-to-replicate cultural capital in Delhi. They have a clear product hero that drives massive repeat business, incredible operational discipline, and a self-funded, profitable growth trajectory. But we have to acknowledge the risks on the other side are very real. Converting intense local affection into national relevance is notoriously difficult. They're going to face heavy competition from giant organized QSRs and countless local kebab specialists in literally every new city. Plus, there's limited evidence so far of their ability to execute large-scale brand-building campaigns outside their core market. So, they have to carefully balance their controlled, protective growth with the speed required to capture white space in other cities before competitors beat them to it.
So it all really comes down to this ultimate test of scaling authenticity. Can a Delhi cult favorite go national without losing its soul? Can they replicate that emotional shorthand, that reliable taste, and that local magic in entirely new cities, all while building broader awareness? Honestly, if they execute with the exact same discipline they've shown since 2020, they just might pull it off. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep this question in mind next time you see a local favorite trying to make it big, and I'll catch you in the next one.